All right. Hi, everybody. This is Zoph. You're watching Simply SCAdian, no title required. Our special guest has run into some time zone issues. I think he didn't believe me, maybe, when I said we were on Eastern Standard Time, and he's in Atenveld. So we will have Duncan the Sinister on another time. Instead, we have a different special guest, a repeat guest, of which we've only had one other repeat guest on this show. But
Oh,
first, let me talk about this. This is Simply SCAdian, no title required, where we talk to those people who are not yet peers in the SCA, whether they're working on attaining it or don't care about getting it. Just regular folks in the SCA. And once I realized that there was a time zone slip up, I messaged my friend Tariq and asked Tarek, excuse me, and asked him to be a guest on tonight's show. He's driving, but that's not going to cut down on his witticism and awesomeness. So thank you, Tarek, for being a last minute guest on Simply SCAdian, no title required.
well, you're quite welcome. I'm really glad to be here.
Oh, that was so professional of you. I love it.
I'm using my superhero voice in lieu of the Superman new movie drop.
Yeah, so tell me about the trailer. Was it good?
I mean, you've seen 50 Superman, you've seen them all. You know, you might want to ask somebody a little bit younger and a little bit less cynical than me. I'm whatever.
Okay, so
It
anyway,
was cool. It was cool to see Cleveland.
oh, that's right. They did film it in Cleveland.
It was cool to see a lot of places that I know. That was cool.
Nice. All right, so we have to ask you the question we've asked before, but for our newcomers, how did you find the SCA?
I
Oh
found
no, Lord Duncan is here, everybody. Wait a minute.
Lord Duncan ain't here. This is my time. This is my spot. This is your stage.
No, we're going to have a dual show now. Duncan, are you with us? Duncan,
Is he there?
he's here, but he's not talking. He's
Maybe he doesn't
muted.
have his mic on. Hey, Duncan,
Can you hear me now?
turn your mic
There you
on.
are. Hi,
Put
Duncan.
the camera on,
Hi,
bro.
I'll be right with you.
Okay. Well, Tarek,
Otherwise, I'm
tell us
going
how
to.
you found the SCA while we wait for Duncan.
So I found it by accident uh, at a job. My Squire brother, who was not my Squire brother at the time, of course. Shout out to Sean the Golden Dringer. Um, he had invited me. He saw that I had a whole bunch of nerd stuff on my desk. At the time, it was Speed Racer, the movie had just came out, so I had a bunch of toys and action figures and such on my desk. And he was like, "Oh man, you'd love this thing. You should come out and try it." And I was like, "Yeah, no, I'm good. You know, that sounds horrible. People hitting each other with sticks and dressing up funny. And yeah, I'm good." And he was like, "Nah, you need to just come check it out." So I went to the Cleflands, and on the night that I went, they were having the Barony Heavy Championship. So not only did I get to see fighting, I got to see like the high level of both fighting and pomp and circumstance. People were dressed to the nines, and they were doing the honors. Uh, it was a really good evening, and I met this lady who I had no idea who she was, and she offered me a tunic, and I was like, "Ma'am, you just don't give a brother a shirt the first night. That's weird." And she laughed, and she's like, "No, no, no. This is, we just want to make you feel welcome." And I still have that tunic from her Grace Runa. And I watched the tournament, and I had my tunic, and I was hooked from that moment on. And I was like, "Where do I sign up? Can I fight tonight? When is the next tournament? What do I need to do? How do I get on?" And that's been pretty much the same thing since then. And that was what, 12, 13 years ago?
Wow. Nice. All right. So, Tarek, you're going to be my guest co-host now.
Excellent.
Awesome.
You just
So,
got promoted.
welcome, Duncan. It's so nice to see you. I was so worried that we had a time zone screw up.
I spotted your email at the last second there. It was just popped onto my iPad with, oh my God, that does say Eastern.
Way to go, Duncan.
Duncan,
I'm
meet
on SCA
Tarek.
time. Everybody's 2 hours late, right?
Right. All right, so let's get to know Duncan. Let's read his bio. He began his SCA journey in 1990 in the Middle Kingdom, where he was an active member and officer of the Barony of Illaton. In 2000, he realized his love for fighting on the heavy field and quickly became an authorized fighter in all the heavy forms and an authorized Kingdom Heavy Marshal. He continued to provide service to the kingdom through creating armor and helping run demos. He served as Illaton's web minister for many years and helped run and organize the annual baronial demo. In 2004, he bore the baronial sword as their hardsuit champion and represented the barony in the baronial champions tournament at Penzic War. In 2010, he took a mundane life break to move to Arizona and begin a new career. Once they had established themselves, he came to Aitenveld in 2015 and jumped right in, serving the barony of Twin Moons as web minister for 3 years, the kingdom as Aiton principal herald, and both Estrella War and War of the Phoenix as a department head for multiple years in different departments. He has been the event or feast steward for many different kingdom and baronial events, including Mideast Feast, baronial investiture, and more than one kingdom ANS event. He has been a Queen's Guard for many reigns, is a bowman in archery, fought hard suit in several wars and crown tournaments, and was, until recently, the Barony of Twin Moons Rapier Defender. He tries to assist as much as he can at any event he attends. He has fought in every war since they began playing in Aitenveld, first on the hard suit field and more recently on the rapier field. Welcome, Duncan.
I've been busy.
Yeah. So let's start off by just finding out, how did you find out about the SCA?
I found out through a friend of mine. I was gaming. I was still young and in college. I was gaming at a local gaming store. You know, back in the old days. This was 1986. And a friend of mine who gamed with me took me to a fighter practice. That was my first intro to the SCA. I went to a fighter practice. I got to wear smelly, ancient tire armor and a helmet that God knows what was in it, and a shield that was far heavier than it needed to be. All the garbage that everybody throws away, going, I'm done with that.
Yeah.
And got myself bashed about a little bit. And I went to that one practice and then and then I went into the Army and spent the next 3 years not playing but I still remembered that experience. So when I came back, ended up going to that same demo that I would help run later on. Fairly substantial. It was the Jubilee College Old English Fair is what it was called. And for a demo, it was turned into a major SCA event. There were about by the time I moved, there were probably still about 600 people showing up for that demo. It's the reason I never got to go to Lily's War, because it fell on the same weekend, Father's Day weekend, every year. So I ended up going back to that, getting into it, and the next thing you know, I'm spending forever playing.
Nice.
So 34 years now.
You've got me beat by 3.
It happens. You don't realize it till you start counting, going, oh my God, what did I do? Have I done anything else for a hobby for the last X number of years? No.
Yeah, but there's so many hobbies within our hobby.
There's all the sub-hobbies.
The sub-hobbies.
That's right. So, yes, and that's where I am today. Still playing as the principal herald for Aitenveld. I decided to extend my tenure another year. I had some things that I didn't get done that I wanted to finish. So I said, find myself a deputy. I've got Aitenveld's interesting in the way we do our College of Heralds. So I have 4 deputies under me, but none of them are my deputy for my job. So we have the ones that handle all of the handle the actual the book heraldry, our Parhelion Herald. We have an abacus that takes care of our OP. I have another one, our Fireball Herald, that handles all of our ceremonies. And what was the other? Oh, Corona Herald, who handles all the voice heraldry for the kingdom. So those are all the deputies enter, but I don't have one that's there to take my job so I can just quit. And I don't like leaving it open and just having it sitting there and then somebody just wanders in. Because then everything that you've just done to fix things that were broken gets undone because you didn't set anybody up to take care of it. So that's where I'm at now with that.
So I don't think, Tarek, have we ever had a guest on the show who's a herald? I can't remember. So tell us more about what drew you into doing heraldry.
Well, I started out when I was still back in the Middle Kingdom, doing book heraldry. I enjoyed the process. I enjoyed the blazoning, figuring out the verbiage that goes with it, and taking what people want and turning it into something useful. When I actually got, I'll give you some context. I got my AOA in 2002. I didn't actually register my device until 2016.
Wow.
And I changed kingdoms before I registered my device. I just never got around to it, but I was always interested in heraldry and how it worked and how it went and how you could use that to identify people and how you could read it by looking at the picture and going, this is da 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 da, and that describes this. And so I started with that, and then once I came down here, I got into voice heraldry. Kind of fell into it. I've got a fairly good speaking voice, I like to think, with fairly substantial volume. At least that's what my wife tells me. And so I combined these two talents and went in full force and started doing some things like occasionally helping out with Crown Tournament as a field herald, and then in my barony and I still do this to this day. I'm a stunt herald. Whenever somebody's around and they go, "Oh my God, I don't know where our herald is." Oh God, there's Duncan. Thank God he can take it. The Queen has actually done that to me before. It goes, "Oh, thank God Duncan's here. We have a herald." It's like, what? What? And then she would just give me a scroll of stuff on paper, and I would go and turn it into something interesting. I actually have an award from my Baroness, an arts award for my heraldry for taking her random scribbles and turning them into something entertaining for people to listen to, apparently. So, because I said I never thought of it this way, but we actually do have one here. We have one herald in our kingdom who has a laurel in heraldry, which is an unusual thing. Heraldry doesn't usually get laurel; it usually gets service.
Right.
Usually, you get
Right.
a pelican, but we actually have a heraldry laurel. Baron Wade Greenwall is currently a laurel in heraldry in the Kingdom of Ain't The only one I know of. I don't know that there's any anywhere. If there are, they're very few and far between.
Right.
So, I now have another aspiration
To get your laurel.
if I'm going to get a laurel, it's going to be in heraldry. But I gotta pick something, because if I'm going to get a peerage, I only want one. I've seen what happens to people who have more than one, and that's far too many meetings.
Yes. Yeah.
Especially if two of them meet on the same day, or they have multiple ones at a war. It's like, I just spent half my war in meetings.
So, excuse me. Oh, sorry, I get up really early for work, so I may yawn periodically. It's not you, it's me. So what I'm thinking about is when I first joined the SCA, it was 31 years ago, 1993. There I am, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and chose a name, Zoph. Well, Zofia is the name that I chose, and and I think now how I've changed and grown and become a completely different person, but I'll always be Zoph. More than I think I'm Caroline. More people know Zoph than know Caroline, my modern.
Right.
So how much care should say somebody new to the SCA is watching this? So how much time should people take before, because here's the thing that I'm thinking, like people need to take time to really choose a name that resonates with them. But then
Right.
you have their friends in the SEO who are like, well, I'm just going to call you Generica, or I'm going to come up with a name for you. So they're pressured to choose a name perhaps before they're ready to. So in your heraldic advice, how long should people wait before they really choose a name?
It's a kind of difficult thing because sometimes you choose a name and sometimes the name chooses you. Uh, that happens to so many people. And I have people that I know that will sit in a court and be called into court by their actual registered name and don't answer because they forgot that's their name because nobody uses that.
Right, right.
One of my former barons, his name was Alistair Stewart, and he got called into court under that name, and he's just sitting here looking around. Where's this Alistair Stewart guy? And because he only answers to Yoshi, and that's how it goes. And he's stuck with Yoshi forever, regardless of what registered name he has. So everything on his scrolls says Alistair Stewart. He was Baron Alistair Stewart. He's now Thane Alistair Stewart. But he's never going to get rid of Yoshi. Everybody's just going to call him that. He'll only get called Alistair inside. He just has to remember it when they're calling it in court.
So did somebody yell Yoshi so he knew to come up?
Yeah, it was like it was the Herald actually did. It's actually a friend of ours. He said, Yoshi, that's you. You're Alistair. Oh crap!
That's right. Nice.
Anyway.
Tarek, feel free to join in with questions. I know you're driving, but since I've roped you into being my guest co-host.
Well, yeah. As soon as something hits, you know what? I got one. What is your heraldry? What is your own personal heraldry?
Well, let's see. Do you just want my blazon? I can say it.
Yeah.
That would be because we start from the bottom up, right? So Argent, a badger, sable marked argent, regardant, let's see, rampant, regardant, conturney, a chief, embattled sable. So that is
no
a
idea.
I know there's a badger in there. That's about all.
So let me turn that back into English. So that is a badger facing the opposite direction as normal. Normally they would face to the right, or as you're looking at it, they would face to the left, right? Correct? So he is looking that way and then looking back. That's where, and he's standing up on his hind legs. So he's rampant.
Yep, I got that part. Okay.
And then he's regarded, looking over his shoulder. Conturney means he's facing the opposite direction, and that's because, or he's facing, shall we say, to the sinister. My name is Duncan the Sinister. And why am I Duncan the Sinister? Make a guess.
Because
you're left-handed?
I am left-handed. Very good.
Yay!
Sir. Yes, that is exactly it. It was just a subtle nod. It was twofold because it's easy to remember that. And two, when I got myself registered, my herald told me, just make sure you pick something that you'll answer to when you're drunk in a ditch. Because then if somebody's yelling Duncan, you're going to actually go, what? And I have sometimes, my wife calls me Duncan in the real world when I'm doing something wrong. or potentially naughty. She will say, Duncan, knock it off. Because I answer to it sometimes more often than I answer to my own name. Again, like you said, I have been using Duncan in one form or another for the whole 34 years. I picked my name within that first year, and I started with Duncan Stewart, which is an easy one because the Stewart is the kind of the generic. It's the Smith of Scotland. So I started with that, and I decided to go Gaelic for quite a long time. Once I started actually fighting, I started going with Gaelic because I like to piss off the other heralds. To be fair, heralds hate two languages. And which two are they?
Gaelic and I can't remember the other one.
Welsh.
Yes, Welsh.
All
That's
of them
because
are on
the
that
words
tiny
don't
little line.
the words don't look like it's like 25 words for Smith.
Exactly. Well, one of them, I've described it this way. One of them is a bunch of consonants that try to act like vowels, and the other one's a bunch of vowels that try to act like consonants.
It's totally alphabet soup.
Exactly. But so I went when I changed from Duncan Stewart to Duncan, son of Kenneth, Donachie McCannick, which is spelled Donnchadh. That's Donachie, which is Duncan, Mac, which is obviously the standard son of, and Cainick, Cainneach, which means Kenneth. So that was just to irritate the heralds during any kind of fighting tournament.
That's a lot, man.
And now they like me a lot better now that I switched it, because Duncan the Sinister is easy to remember.
Well, Tariq, his
Yeah.
name, all of us say Tariq, right? So I had to learn that it's actually pronounced Tariq. And like my name in the SCA is Tizish Sofia because I'm Hungarian, so the patronymic comes first. But I've been called into court and I've just been like, because they mangle, so they call me Sophia, and I don't even know what they say when it comes to Tizish because it's Tyzes, right? So I tell them I'm a little bit of a T. I'm Tizish. So it helps people remember, but it's how hard is it then as a herald to pronounce names? Like I know in the mid realm now, you're called, you get a call before court saying their majesties request your presence at court at this event, and please fill out this form. Now they have a Google form you fill out so they know how to pronounce your name. But back in the day, we didn't have anything like that. So I was hunted down by people. How do you say your name again? And I'd be like, oh, I guess I'm getting something tonight.
Yeah. When the herald's hunting for you, that means something's happening. Either I'm getting something or I'm being banished. I don't know which yet. What did I do lately?
So how did you guys how did we handle this before?
We just butchered names. That's how we handled it. We still handle that some to this day. Some of us are just better at guessing how certain languages go. We have enough variety down here because we have Viking names, we have some Persian names, we have Russian. So I've got a pretty good handle on most languages' pronunciations. That's a personal thing, but most people still do it the old-fashioned way, and they give it their best shot. And they often preface what they're about to say with, "I may mangle this," and then they go for it, and then everybody looks around going, "I think that's who it is."
I keep a card in my fighting bag with my name written out. Like when you're in elementary school,
right?
So you can look at the sounds and say my name correctly.
That's
so
a very
it's got the tar.
We should have people put that on their. We should start having people do that on their on the website. When we put the people's names up on our OP, we should put the phonetic pronunciation.
That would make a great idea.
Sense. I'm going to talk that over with my web minister.
Well, I know that some people, I know in the East Kingdom, their wiki is pretty hardcore awesome. And they do have the pronunciation of names in the East Kingdom wiki. And there's some people in the mid realm on that wiki. Those are the only two wikis that I really know of.
We have one down here as well in Aidenfeld. So
yeah,
we do have one. It's not as complete as we would like it. And I think the objective they're trying to go for is migrating the website to being more of a advertisement for the kingdom, and the wiki being where all the information is about the populace and possibly about various things. All I know is I thought websites were a lot easier when we just had text and a few pictures. So you could figure out how to build armor because somebody just basically typed it up. And it was so much easier to work with. The old GeoCities pages were great.
I remember those days. When I tell people I've been designing web pages for 24 years now, I'm like, you don't understand what it was like back in the old days when you were raw HTMLing everything.
It was easy. All I had to have was the text editor, and I was done.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
get a web page together in like an hour.
Which is something Tarek wants to learn how to do. He wants to learn how to create a web page.
Yep. Now we got content management and all those fun things, which
I
just make it so much interesting.
You think?
I keep saying I want to do it, and I want to, but I just like there's something. So there is the artist designer in me that's like it sounds like visual math, and that concept really sounds unappealing to me.
Yeah, in the old days we didn't worry about it. We just basically put in text and hope the foot pictures just float around them okay.
Yes. Yeah.
We just text would just wrap around pictures. You could move it to the left, you put it in the center, you could move it to the right, and that's about it.
Right, right. And then they invented tables, and we were like, "Ooh, wait, what?"
It's exciting.
All right, so I want to talk, you call it, instead of heavy or armored, you call it hard suit. Is that an Aidenvelt term?
I assume, because I'd never heard it before I moved here. It may be something that came over from the West as well, since Aidenvelt came directly out of the West as the first barony. Since Aidenvelt was literally became the first barony in the West, and then it became a principality, and then it became a kingdom, which still has a barony of Aidenvelt within it. So the original, because it's basically all wrapped around Phoenix. That's the largest population center. So that is still the central barony in the valley. And that's there are 3 baronies in the valley, which covers the east, west, and central. And the central is all Aidenvelt. So that's the actual original, the original barony, which turned into the kingdom. But they kept the barony as its own independent entity.
Gotcha. Okay, so you started off doing armored combatant, armored, and now you've moved to rapier. What drew you into rapier?
The bruises are tinier.
But there's so many of them.
It's okay. They're all little. They're spread out. And it's a lot easier to dodge the point than that guy throwing the butt wrap. So no, I still play a little heavy from time to time. I came from a war household. I used to be in House Brandenburg back in the middle.
Yep.
So I had Checkies and Bear Claws. So that's where I cut my chops on fighting. Shortly after I got authorized, which was in 2000, I got my joined that household because I was in 2 households at the time. One was a smaller, more just hanging out household, wasn't very big, but one of the people in it happened to be one of Gunther von Brandenburg's squires, and so he said he wanted to take me and the other guy from our house that got authorized, because there were only 2 of us, and asked us to be his men at arms. Since Gunther does that leveled thing, he has his squires, and then there are men at arms underneath the squires. So I joined his household to start going to war in 2000. I think it was in 2000. Yeah, I got authorized in April of 2000, and then I went to Penzik that year, fighting with Brandenburg for Penzik 30. So my first Penzik was monstrous.
Yeah.
And we had something like, there were about 3,000 fighters that year on the field, 1,500 aside. And we brought 65 just in the household.
Wow.
It was insane. And I'm not a small man, but I was one of the tiny boys in that household because those guys are big boys. So I was the little guy on the left.
Yeah, that's where I am too. I'm the little guy on the right.
You lie.
Being the lefty is always good. You always know where you're going to be in the line. So you're going to be out here, and you've got plenty of room to swing your sword over here. So, yeah, so I spent a lot of years fighting that. I still like fighting melee. I came down here and I was squired for a while and played around doing tournament stuff, and it just wasn't working out. Wasn't working out with the knight, so I handed my belt back, and I still fought heavy after that. But I'm a decent. We'll put it that way. I'm a decent melee fighter, and not a real great tourney fighter so much. It depends on the weapon, but generally speaking, not so much of a tourney fighter. So I decided I wanted to go, and then I started having some elbow troubles, and now I've got some. Now the arthritis is starting, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So the fun is just keeps going on. So I have migrated over to the dark side. They said they had cookies, so I went over.
It sounds like you're just experimenting in different levels of pain.
I just like to be injured in new and unique ways. That's what it is. So I switched to the rapier side. I've been doing actually better there than I did as a heavy fighter.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know, for some reason, and it's my melee roots. A lot of years fighting melee stuff, I get a shield on my arm. My feet don't go anywhere, and I have horrible footwork on the heavy side. I have decent footwork on the other side because I fight sword and dagger most of the time. So, but I get into melee. There's two ways I'm moving. There's one direction I'm moving, which is forward, and I don't go side to side. I don't have a lot of lateral movement because I'm used to being stuck in a line. So there's no place for me to go. There's a wall usually up against my left leg, and then somebody else's shoulder up against my right. So, and I was fighting for those years with a 2x4 foot war heater. So it doesn't exactly, not something you're moving around a whole lot. So it tended to just be a lot more melee fighting. So I just don't move a whole lot. And I'm fine fighting against other guys who don't move a whole lot either. But the guys who actually figured out how their feet work when they were carrying a shield, they just whooped me all over the place.
So what is your Tark, do you have any questions before I dive in with one?
No, go ahead.
So what is your no, forget it. Okay, so how did you meet your wife?
This one?
You're gonna get in trouble. It's not my fault. Yes, how did you meet your current spouse?
I met her through a random series of events. I was working at a place doing video work, video production, and teaching it at Bradley University in Peoria, Illinois. So I was doing that as an adjunct professor. So I was teaching video production. I was pretty good at it. And I was helping a friend of mine out with a movie that he wanted to make. So I was acting as the director of photography, and I met her at a casting session. She shows up, and go ahead and say it. Half drunk. Okay, she told me it's okay to say it. Did you hear that?
Yes.
Go ahead and say it. Yes, half drunk. She'd been out the night before, and her friend drug her along to the audition. So she saw me, and she was smitten.
Aww.
I know. There's a Facebook message somewhere that proves this. So
wait a minute. You said she was smitten, but she was half drunk. So
hey, we're not going to argue with things, okay?
These are whiskey goggles.
This is just
take it how you get it. Go ahead. Move on.
It was the whiskey goggles. That's what it was. So anyhow, she got a hold of me on Facebook, and then we ended up meeting up and hooking up. There's a process, a courtship. So we'd both been married before. I'm her second husband. She's my third wife. My second wife, the and we just met and started. We were together 6 months when we got married.
Wow. And I assume she's in the SCA with you.
She is. She is actually more SCA than me.
How is that possible?
She is a mistress of the Pelican already.
Oh,
So I think I just have too big a mouth. I'm not sure, but I have not yet achieved that. I am a protege, but have not achieved that. And I'm unofficially a cadet or student for the rapier side because my peer happens to be a double. She is both a mod. She just got that this last year, and is also a pelican. So she's there to help me smooth out the rough edges. I don't know how well that's working, but
34 years later, we're still rough. Yeah.
yeah. My protege to her started just 2 years ago.
Right after the pandemic.
Right, yeah, right after COVID. So when we started back up, I think it was at the first war. Afterwards, we discussed it on the actually right after we finished on the battlefield. I was fighting rapier on the battlefield, and we went and talked to it. And then she decided that she would take me as a student, as her protege, and then she became a mod. So I kind of fell into that accidentally, but yeah, it's just a lot of fun. I feel like I'm fairly good at it with the fighting with the rapier. So I've kind of stuck with that. I still occasionally get out in the heavy field when the mood takes me.
What are the truth about all of your awards that they're more service than fighting?
Yeah, there is that too. And I don't know if you probably can't even see most of that. It's hanging a little low. That's in this kingdom, all chains are prescribed unless they have something hanging from them. Unlike, say, I believe the Middle and the East both follow gold chains and spurs for knights, silver for squires, correct?
Yes.
So here, chains are only for knights. Squires do not have them. Red belts only. So I had been giving this black chain by a friend of mine. It's a really, really nice chain, and I couldn't wear it for a long time. And then I realized, and then I started getting an award. I said, "Ooh, I have an award. I can hang that from it, and then I can wear the chain as long as it's adorned with a medallion of some sort." So I just started putting all of them on. But I don't know if I'm going to take this off so that it can be seen a little easier, because it's hard to see those awards. But even though they're all very different, one of them is actually, technically speaking, a combat award. That would be this one right here. Gotta get somewhere near my camera there. There it is. So that is a Crimson Mace of Twin Moons. That is my only fighting award that I have till recently. And I got that for keeping my Baron alive on the battlefield.
Nice.
He's a ginger, and he has a bad habit of not taking his helmet off, not drinking water, and not staying out of the damn sun. So before we went out on the field, Her Excellency implored me to make sure that he did all the things he was supposed to do. And so I went out there and did that. And they gave me my fighting award for that. But every one of these awards is a service award, which is how I finally decided maybe I should just try and shoot for Pelican.
He said, maybe I'm doing this better.
Yeah, I accidentally, but yes, everything, even like I said, I have an arts award for heraldry, but like I said, heraldry is more of a service than an art, or it's an art in service.
Right. Right.
So I have a whole collection of things. I got the award that's the one below a peerage in this kingdom. That bottom one there, that's the light. I don't know how you can see it there. I get the light on it enough that you can see that. The sun. That is the Light of Atenvelt, which is their highest non-peerage service award. The only thing I can get that's higher is I can become a commander of that. And that's the upper level of that one. But other than that, there's no other place I could go in service. So we'll see what happens.
So how different was it for you moving from the mid-realm to Atenveld? What was the culture shock like for you?
Very, very much different, because Atenveld had broken up into multiple kingdoms. Trimeris, Glenaben, Meridies, Outlands. What's right next to us in Texas?
Yeah,
Onsteora. There's one other one in there, I think, that's used to be part of us.
we used to be all the way down to.
But there was a big L that ran all the way up through the Rockies, up through New Mexico, and so that's what's New Mexico and Colorado, and the very tip of Texas, which has got El Paso in it, because there's nothing between basically El Paso and East Texas. There's just a big empty spot full of oil rigs. That's all the Outlands. That all broke off from here, but that whole big L and Arizona all used to be Adenvelt when it was originally created.
Wow, that's a huge kingdom.
Yeah, it was everything between the middle and the west and all the way across the bottom. So that's been all broken up. So now it's a one-state kingdom. Phoenix is the 5th largest population center in the country, metro area wise. So there's 7 million people here. Over 5 of them are in the Phoenix Valley, the Phoenix Mesa Valley. So it's big enough to support its own kingdom. And so I could go all the way across the kingdom in 4 hours.
Nice.
I have been a guard on every raid since I started. I think except one, maybe 2, and that's been in the last 8 or 9 years now. And so it's just, and then people still complain about how far they have to drive. It's like, and that's if you're driving. My farthest I've driven, and I only moved up here, and now it's 4 hours to some of the southern places. But generally speaking, I can get anywhere in the kingdom in less than 4 hours.
Nice.
Which is nice. Yes, I remember because when I started fighting, North Shield was still part of it. I mean, I still know a lot of it. I don't remember all the words anymore, but I know a lot of those old songs from the middle, back when Illinois was the Midlands, and that was the middle of the middle.
Yes.
Before Palantir got broken off. So you start looking at this going, no, that's the far western edge. No, that used to be the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
So North Shield and all that was there. I went to North Shield for one crown tourney, I remember, for when my knight was fighting. So there was that whole thing, the size. I've gone in the middle for entire raids without seeing the crown. I have never done that here. In fact, I often can't go to any event most of the time without seeing the crown.
Nice.
They tend to show up more. I think somebody's delivering something. That's what it usually is. But most events I go to, the crown is there. Everybody has their Yule festives. We just had one in the barony we just moved to. We moved north an hour from where we were, which now puts us in a different barony. So we had the Northern Yule up in Flagstaff, and the crown was there for that Yule, because they come to things like that because it's one of those things where they can finally give awards to somebody who they didn't see before, because they're up north and they only play in the north. So there's some who very baronial players who don't ever leave the north. So it's kind of interesting, though. I mean, I'm still going to multiple things down in the valley. I'll still go down to Tucson. I try not to go any farther than that, because from right now it's about 2.5 to 3 hours to Tucson from where I am, which is in Payson, which is inside the barony of Arid Sewell down here. So I'm a Sooligan.
So, okay, so we only have like 15 minutes left. And one of the things when we didn't think you were coming, Tarek and I decided that we would do a wrap up of 2024. So I want to do that now with both of you.
Okay.
So Duncan, what has been the highlight as a SCAdian for you this year?
That would be for 2024. That's there's been a couple of good ones. I got my light from now 2 crowns ago at the beginning of the year. They're the ones who gave it. And this particular medallion I have was the last of the ones made by this particular person, who I believe now lives in, I think they moved to the East. I'd have to look up in my Facebook thing, because I didn't know this person. So I had no idea about this until I was told. That's a very special medallion. That they gave you that means a lot more than just your generic light of Atenveld. So, so there, and then not too long ago we were at that Mideast feast that I mentioned, and I got called into the court, and I've been playing rapier for about, but COVID got in the way, so that screws everything up. So technically fighting rapier since 2018, but I had never gotten the entry level award, which is the golden blade here. And it was just one of those things of going, well, I'm going to keep it that way. And then the crown gave me the next level up, which is the lynx, which is a second level award, but I still don't have a golden blade. And I told them, don't anybody tell a crown that. I said, I want to be able to keep that. So if I ever get the peerage, I want to be able to say that when they go through, because they like to read all your accomplishments and things, and I want them to go through everything, and I want the last line before they present me to the crown to get the accolade, is that, and the new job is that they will tell me, and he still doesn't have a golden blade.
Nice.
So then they'll have to give it to me at some point, but I just want them to do it that way. I thought it would just be funny, which is probably a snotty thing to do, but
yeah. Any other highlights for you as a SCAdian for 2024?
For 2024, those were the two biggies. As far as the SCAdian, and I'm getting to meet new people now that I don't. A bunch of the players that only play up north, I'm going to get to meet more of them because I'm now up in this barony. So, it's been a roller coaster of a year. So in the summer, things just switched, and that's how I ended up where I'm living now. Our whole circumstances changed. The world has changed as far as money, as far as what we can do and when we can do it. As far as we might actually be able to retire on our own without having to inherit, which is kind of a bonus. Not necessary, but nice to know that we're actually positioned in life better than we were. And from an SCA standpoint, that means I can do more things.
Right.
Like buy a new rapier, which I just did this week.
Right.
If anybody plays, do you play rapier? Does anyone play rapier?
I have on and off, but I have a bum knee, so it's not so easy for me.
I am currently working on my kit. I am about 80% done. I got to get a mask, but I think I have the largest head in the mid realm. At the very least, I'm in the top 3. So it's been difficult to find a mask,
right,
that will fit. I think I have located a double extra large or a triple extra large mask, so I may start dabbling more. So we'll see.
Well, I went to a friend of mine has got one, and a couple of friends of mine have got this new one from Castile Armory.
Yeah.
Which is their Italian dueling rapiers, but they're very pretty. They're super lightweight. They're like 600 grams. So yeah. That's I don't have my shorty that I have, which is my secondary, which I use for my offhand, is not that light. So
right.
it's like that one's like 9. I think it's like 975. So this thing's like
you're flicking a feather out there.
But it's got a fairly stiff blade on it. It'll actually present pretty well when you're in the bind. So
Right.
I just spent a whole lot of money on a brand new toy.
Nice. All right,
That I'll see in 15 weeks.
Nice. All right, Tarek, what are your highlights as a SCAdian for 2024?
To be honest with you, 2024 for me has been a wash, and kind of a blur between multiple injuries and lifing. I haven't been able to play or be as active as I would have liked. But that said, I guess my one major highlight was entering into Kingdom ANS and actually getting feedback. And that was awesome because I've been trying to do some things artistically more than I'm trying to do more than fighting. So I'm really trying to establish an identity with using my arts. So that was really exciting for me to actually do it, get a feel for what it's like in that to do competition, to do the research and the paperwork and present and talk. And then I also earned my spurs because I was part of my spur quest. So it was like a double up for me. But 2024 has been very quiet. So I'm kind of gearing up, preparing my mind, my body, my soul, my spirit for 2025.
Okay.
My wife is very excited for you on your arts journey. She happens to be the current mistress of arts and sciences for the kingdom. Down. So she was clapping in the background here when you said you were doing art and participating in the tourney and so forth. So it's a good thing.
Well, so a little bit of history, a little bit. I'm an artist in my. Am I on? Okay. I'm an artist in my mundane life. So I'm really trying to translate that to my other mundane life or my fantasy, my SCAdian life. But I'm trying to lose the mundane hangups that come with learning new things and trying new things. So I'm really trying to. No, I'm not trying. There is no try. Do or do not. There is no try.
There we go.
I'm working at losing those habits and just doing it, failing, doing it again, failing some more, and learning and actually doing it because I really, when you get down to the essence, the reason I do art is because I love it.
I just got the best. Wait a minute, Tarek. I just got the best idea ever.
Oh, is that what I smell burning?
Ever. So Tarek and I actually live like a 500 feet away from each other, 1,000 feet away from each other.
Yeah, not even.
He's right down the hill from me. Okay, so what if? So during COVID, I had a dream of doing a YouTube like TikTok thing called Zoph Tries. And I was going to try every single thing you could do in the SCA. Whatever it was, I was going to. So, Tarek, what if you and I start a show where we're like, this month, we're going to learn how to do pewter casting. And then we learn how to, and we go and talk to the experts and learn how. Let's do this.
I'm down.
I can give you one piece of
You're
advice.
down?
The only one I know for pewter casting. Make sure your mold is completely dry.
Yeah, that I've heard. We're going to do this, Tarek.
There's a Laurel who taught me that. So that's how I earned my Laurel, by blowing hot molten pewter into my own face.
Oh my gosh. No, thank you. No, thank you. All right, we're doing this. Tarek,
before I commit to this,
yes.
Let me look in my calendar, because committing to things and not looking at my calendar has gotten me into trouble before. So,
well, I have surgery on Monday, so we have time before we launch this.
Yeah, let me look in my. Matter of fact, let me look in my calendar. Let me
talk to your wife.
Talk to my missus. Let me talk to my knight. I got a whole bunch of people I need to run this by.
All right.
Always make sure your peer can say yes or no for you.
But I will say this: I am interested in that project at some point, even if I'm just there cursory to go. Yeah, that's a bad idea.
Don't do it, Zoph.
Don't. I would be down to be a host and film it and watch it go down. Now that I'm because yeah, I want to.
Like being the cameraman
gotta
on
see.
Jackass, that's how that works.
I definitely got
go
to
wrong here.
see you at Zoe does heavy and Zoe does pokey pokey and Zoe does all of that.
No,
Yeah,
will never. I can't do heavy. I don't. I was only born with one kidney. That's why I gave up my dream of becoming a heavy fighter. And one of the drawbacks to doing rapier as well was that I only have one kidney, and it takes one bad shot
well,
from a rhino, and I'm
we're talking
hosed.
about a month.
If
We're not
somebody's
talking
hitting your kidney in a rate with a rapier, they're on the wrong side of you.
Right. That's why rapier is better for me. But heavy, I had to complete because I was a CA person. I did combat archery, and I had to give it up after a friend got jacked in the kidneys by a rhino. At
Yeah,
Penn
there's always one of them out there.
who hits combat archers.
Talk to Z, man. Z had it happen to her. That's why I gave up CA.
I've been playing this game for almost 13. I've never all I've gone is I go, boo, are you dead?
Yeah, because you're a big black man. Let's be really honest here, Tarek.
I'm black.
That was good.
I'm sorry.
All right. We're really almost out of time. So, Duncan, there's one last question that we ask, and because we didn't have green room time, you're getting this just dumped on you.
Oh, fair enough.
So think about your answer. You can take as much time, well, not as much time as you take some time. What can the SCA do better?
I don't have the kind of time to write that list.
Well, give me one thing.
Yeah, that'd be one of the biggest ones. The peerages need to remember that taking a peerage is something that's should happen early in your journey, not late. They should stop gatekeeping people and saying, oh, they haven't accomplished this and this and this. Used to be back in the old days, and I've talked to some of the old timers from the very old days, you got knighted because the king just went, yeah, I like the way you fight today. You shall be a knight. And that was it. That's why the early knights were all bunched up. You see, they go like knight king, knight king, knight king, and you see somebody who went from AOA to knight to king in 2 years. You don't see that anymore, and it's because the peerages want to keep out the riffraff. This is what I see. I think the one that's most accepting of new people right now is the mod, and it's because they're new and they have fewer members. We only have, I think, 16, 17 members in our mod circle down here. So there's lots of room for growth in this kingdom. All the rest of them, they are mean sometimes.
You need to remember it's not a life award.
It's not. Yeah, again, it's not a lifetime achievement award. It's a step in the journey. You don't start as a peer. They make you a peer and then grow you into a peer. Right. You become the peer once they give you the accolade.
Yeah.
When you wait till lifetime, it's why you see so many what I call disappears.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the only thing, I have 2 pieces of advice I give to, I'll put my fingers so you can see them. They're there. 2 pieces of advice I give every vigilant when I go do a vigil. Don't be a dick. And don't be a disappear. Don't take your peerage and then leave. You get so many people, particularly Laurels and Pelicans, who don't get it soon enough. The marshal ones tend to do them quicker and sooner, but they tend to do these ones where they don't want to give it to them until they're actually so tired of playing that because they have to play so hard for so long that they don't want to play anymore.
Right.
And they get the award, and then they leave. Okay, I got the big chookie. I'm gonna stick that on my wall. I'm done.
Yeah.
They need to give them out sooner and not be jerks when they do it.
Agreed. Tarek, let's ask you. We've already talked about this question a couple times, you and I personally, but what can the SCA do better?
I'm going to go this route. I think just appealing to people, um, just different people, different ages. You know, just we tend to like make it difficult to come join us, to come see us, to come play. So I would like to see us at both a local and a national level make the game easier to be a part of, to experience it, to try it, and to join.
Okay. Thank you both. Tarek, thank you for hopping on so last minute. I appreciate you taking an hour out of your night for me. Duncan, I'm so glad we managed to connect.
I know. I'm going to need to make sure I read things better.
Yeah, Eastern time.
Eastern.
It's because he's a left-hander. He reads everything back.
I read it backwards.
All right, you have been watching Simply SCAdian, no title required. This is Zoph. We will see you the second week, I believe. I don't know, think that we're doing a show on the third, but we'll let you know. Follow our Facebook page, Simply SCAdian, no title required for more information. Have a great holiday break, and thank you all.
2025.
2025.
Yeah.